Sometimes you see people who embody art, who are themselves a piece of art. Obviously, one way to do it is by the way you look, the way you dress, the way you exercise, making your body sculpture. And some other people are very deliberate about being a piece of art with the way they speak, their tone of voice, choice of vocabulary, which I think is closer to my liking and capacity as a person if I would like to present myself as art. But my idea of conducting yourself in a way that is art is by making art of not your vocabulary exactly, not your prose, but your attitude. So my objective is to give every person I interact with a refreshing experience, an experience that implicitly or explicitly, whether they realize it or not, helps them grow. And once again, an obvious way to do that is with good sense of humor. You could argue things like empathy or highly relevant, highly curated information are also components of a gift toward growth, okay? But even more specifically, what I'm trying to embody is give everyone I interact with an experience that approximates the parenting concept of optimal development, which contains the right amount of safety, affirmation, acknowledgement of your beauty and your good work and the aspects of you that are worthy of celebration, and in the same interaction, a call for growth, a motivation and the push for realizing your potential, doing better than you do right now. And I find interesting to treat love as something highly conditional to the presence and duration of an interaction, which means that the way I choose to see it is that I can really love you for 10 minutes, but I didn't love you before and I will not love you later. But when I'm engaging with you, when we are having a moment, when we are having a conversation, I would like to act as if you are extremely important to me, that I respect you the way your best friend or someone to your best interest would, and also that I know you. And this is where it gets tricky, maybe a little bit dangerous. I want to love and respect not only who you are right now in this space, this time, but respect who you have been in your past and who you will be in the future, and actually a very healthy potential trajectory of your life in the future. And with that in mind, once again, like a parent, my goal is to establish a buffer of safety and good vibes and good intentions so that you can actually appreciate calls to action, prompts to your development, opening your eyes or rather choosing to look because you know they are there, to things that you often avoid because they are uncomfortable. And the way I present uncomfortable truths is casual and nonchalant, as if they're obvious. And actually that's really empowering, because if you don't preface something taboo with a trigger warning that it can be taboo, then you can see the shock, the little twitch in the people's face. But this tiny bump is overcome quite quickly, because indeed they know that you know that they know that everybody knows that actually that's how this thing is and that's how it works. So if we treat it as taboo, we reinforce the argument of avoiding it. Does it make sense? And to put skin in the game, once again, like in some social circles, it's taboo to say, for example, that it's more likely than not people who will have a happier life as parents, and even more politically incorrect to say that women generally much more likely than not have a happier life as mothers. But if this uncontroversial truth that applies to most people is not treated as some rebellious statement, but is free to come up randomly in the flow of a conversation if the topic is relevant, then we destigmatize the topic. We destigmatize what the sensationalist social media and some unfortunately ideologically captured people make taboo of. There is no taboo in looking around you and seeing how the world works. Because yes, we do have different information diet, but I would like to argue that our understanding of the world is much more similar than we make it to be. And don't take me wrong, it's very interesting and productive to debate on the things that we disagree with and see differently. I love doing that, but not before we establish common ground by what? By just casually talking and not censoring ourselves on things that we are perfectly confident that you also know And so that's one of the ways conversations with me feel refreshing to some people, hopefully to many people. And the other is, once again, the genuine love that I have for you that is only limited to the time of the interaction. But hey, if I know that it's only 10 minutes, I can give you everything I have for 10 minutes, as far as my attention, as far as my effort to help you grow goes. And I know you didn't ask for it, but I don't care. If I do it right, there is nothing better that can happen to you with a conversation, with an interaction with me than that. Yes, it can be transactional and we can still have the transaction, fair enough. But if I can sneak in some vitamin, some health boost in your life, I'm gonna do it. It's the bare minimum, and I want to make a habit out of it. This is breaking down and reverse engineering behaviors I try to instinctively build. So of course I'm not thinking about all those things when I'm interacting with someone, I'm just interacting with someone. But because I think very deeply about how I conduct myself, because I had to very deliberately become a socially acceptable person. So this is something I've been doing since I was a teenager, where I had zero friends because when you would interact with me, you would be offended, alienated. I was making people very uncomfortable, right? So I had to work on that. And so now, if I'm not delusional about it, I've made some progress where I've crossed the threshold of totally fine interaction, totally socially acceptable. And because I've learned how to improve that, I'm hopefully in the domain of actually deliberately trying not only to avoid giving you a negative experience, but actually to make sure you have a wonderful experience. Similar to experiences you have with absolutely beautiful people who don't really have to think how they talk with you because they're nice and vibrant and optimistic. And I'm none of these things exactly. I'm more like jerky, critical, condescending, stupid jokes, bad emotional intelligence, let's say. But I'm learning to be otherwise. I think it's similar with the person that doesn't have, genetically favorable body that automatically builds muscles and widens up, and they train really hard and they're really, really strong, and they have to fight a disadvantage in the beginning, but this disadvantage has taught them to be meticulous and hardworking to improving their physique, and so now they're actually very strong. And if you are a socially talented person, unlike me, and you do the same work that I'm doing, then you will be a miracle in the world, like you will be the best gift in the world, So do that if you can. Everybody wins. Thank you for watching this video.